Hello, YouTube. Um, I watched Oppenheimer Range Project, and it's projected to about 48 or so states of the whole lower continental U.S. Um, is going to have some form of snow on it uh, over the next 17 days or so. So winter is definitely here, for sure. No question about it. But I wanted to talk about something that um, we all, as individuals, share, no matter where we come from, what race we are, um, color of our skin, whatnot. But there's a common thread that that threads through us all, and that's the word fear. And fear, uh, you know, in American and English language, words have so many different meanings. You know, that I can see where the English language would be the hardest language to to comprehend. Literally, I mean, a lot of languages out there don't have a past and future tense word for what they're wanting to say. All they have is the present, and I think that's what makes it sound so funny to us when they, talk. But anyway, but fear is, I'm going to give you a couple definitions of it. This is just going to be, I just want to, free whim, freestyle this video here for the most part, because um, it encompasses so much that there's really no, it's very hard to simplify, break it down, simplify, into its basic components for me to, that's what I like to do. Deductive reasoning is a big way that I arrive to answers to my questions. You'd be surprised at what deductive reasoning can do for you. Just like working in reverse, if you're seeing something from one way to another and you do it all over and over and over and over, and you still land in the same spot, why not try working from the spot you landed in back to where you jumped from? You just might see something from a different angle, and voila, the voila moment, or what do they call that? Eureka moment. But yeah, fear, fear, noun. Um, one, 1A, a feeling of agitation and anxiety caused by the presence or imminence of danger. 1B, noun, a state marked by this feeling. 2, a feeling of disquiet or apprehension. 3, being in awe toward like deity. 4, reason for dread or apprehension. Now the verb side of fear: to be afraid of, to be apprehensive about, to be in awe of, deity, God, to expect. Here's something. Uh, the anticipation or fear of death is worse than death itself. I mean, think about that for a moment. I mean, if you had no knowledge that you was going to die, well, when that time come, it would just hit you and be over. You would have never had a chance to fear it because um, you had no knowledge that it was coming for you, and therefore no anticipation of it. So I think that statement holds a lot of weight, you know, because yeah, I definitely think the anticipation of fear, you know, the fact that you fear you're going to die is worse than the moment of your death itself. So, you know, at any rate, um, the the reverence or awe as toward a deity, um, definition of fear. I mean, that's in the dictionary, and but yet there's no proof that there's a deity to even be in awe or reverence of. So I go back to my original thought on fear coinciding with control, you know, and control being um, definition, you know, to be technically correct, definition of control verb to exercise authority or influence over direct, to hold to hold in resistance or resistant check. 3. To verify or regulate by systematic comparison. Now, 1. Noun. Power to manage, direct or dominate. Let me say that again. Cause the definition, noun definition of control, power to manage, direct or dominate. Now, if you think about that for a minute, wouldn't that be a verb? I mean, because there's action there, you know. Yeah, I think they got it. I think they got that mixed up because if you are gaining control and have power and are managing directly to dominate, that is all action, my friend. That's all action, you know. And um, that's uh, that's just the way I'm looking at it right now, anyway. But now now there's actually only two forms of control, really. When you break it down, break it all down, and simplify and get through all the everything out there to mislead you, you know, and confuse you. Keep in mind, it's always better when you simplify things because it when you simplify things to get an answer, it removes a lot. of, distractions or, propaganda to sway you one way or the other to keep you from getting where you want to go. So always try, when you're problem solving, always try to do your simplifying first. You got your problem. Now, what can I do to break this problem down into pieces? And then how many pieces can I break those pieces down into? And then work your way back up. See? Basically another form of working in reverse. Do your deductive reasoning, simplifying, breaking down piece by piece. Then when you work in reverse, putting it back together, that's when you find the holes in all of it and whatnot. And anyway, um, the two different kinds, you got the informal social control, and you got formal social control. Now, we basically what that statement boils down to is um, informal control. You basically control yourself. You don't need any outside stimulant to force you to control, to keep yourself under control. It's more of a control of the self, like a moral compass that you have in you. Like when you're making a choice and um, something arises and you have a decision to make, and that decision that you're about to make, well, you have a moral compass, and you can decide, well, hey, um, if I, go along with this may hurt so and so, or this may, the outcome of it may be bad for you, or maybe bad for somebody else, or whatnot, and you come to the conclusion to control yourself by using your moral values that's been, your mom or dad or your family instilled in you as you was growing up. See, that's an informal form. Now, um, that's the basically the control that I use for myself, because um, yeah, I don't like the feeling of being forced to do anything. You know, if I'm going to do something, I I'm not made. Never was. Always, even back in high school, growing up, throughout, all them crazy days. A lot of them fun too. Trust me. I, you know, I had a lot of fun growing up. I also had a lot of the polar opposite, a lot of bad ones. But now formal social control. Now that's a whole different animal, because that is all uh, external force. Has, whether you want to or not, you're made to comply through, um, you know, uh, well, here's definition of formal. Okay, okay. Definition of informal control: control through existing societal mechanisms. such as customs, morals, beliefs. Um, a control form that is held through individual, countries, groups, compartmentalized. It's not a overall general control to control the masses. It's more, you know, of like your own family's control, social control. Okay. Um, then the definition of the formal control. This control is expressed. It is conducted by governments and organizations using law enforcement mechanisms and other formal sanctions such as fines and imprisonment. Huh? Isn't that? Doesn't that sound a little bit like what goes on here in our country? I think so. Let me say again. Um, Formal control is expressed. It is conducted by governments, organizations using law enforcement mechanisms and other formal sanctions such as fines and imprisonment. Well, I'll tell you what, I think that in modern day, well, you keep going out. That's definitely the form of control that we have here in America. So we can now say that in America we are under a formal form of control, and that's broadly stroked. Now, democratically, the goals of social control format mechanisms are determined through legislation by elected representatives and thus enjoy a measure of support from the population and voluntarily compliance. Now, did you catch the key points of that there statement? I'll read it one more time. Democratically, the goals of uh, social formal control by mechanisms are determined through legislation by election representatives and thus enjoy a measure of support from the population and voluntarily compliance. Well, if you think about that for a minute, um, they get to enjoy they enjoy a measure of support from the population and get voluntary compliance from this form. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't voluntarily much of anything. I'm kicking and screaming, uh, especially when it's something that um, I'm not a subscriber to. I see. You can look at stubborn in a bunch of different ways. Okay, now if somebody you call somebody stubborn when, you know, they're hard to move. You know, they have their beliefs and you're not going to change them. And that's just it, you know. And it, they call that stubborn. Well, in some ways it's smart. Maybe, you know, it's got them as far through this life that we're in, and it's worked for them. So in their mind, you know, they don't even see it as stubborn. They just see it as, you know, this is the way I do things, and it's worked for me so far. So, you know, I'm just gonna keep doing it. But uh, I look at I look at it, if somebody calls me stubborn, um, which is fine, because I know deep down inside that I have an open mind and take in statements. You know, even if even if it's offensive, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as just another piece of, you know, the pie that I can examine, and then see if it fits within my my way of thinking. But I'm a stubborn man in a sense that my mind's not easily swayed one way or the other. Okay, I get to live through this life, and it is a comfort because there there's I don't question it. You know, it's my way. You know, and what that does is actually keeps you from having these distractions, you know, such as religions and uh, I don't all all kinds of stuff. But the number one thing it does is it it gives you the comfort. You're not confused. You're not you're not out of balance. Like, say I have a friend who wants me to do something totally freaking dumb, totally retarded. Now, my stubbornness is not going to let me just because I'm going to weigh the, you know, it's going to go through my mind. I'm going to weigh the options, pros, cons, blah, blah, blah. And if I end up doing that stupid thing with my friend that's stupid for wanting to do stupid things, uh, I'm going to do that stupid thing as smart as I possibly can. Now, you may listen to that statement and think to yourself, well, you're still doing something stupid. And you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Still doing something stupid. But what you got to understand is I'm not going into that stupid thing blindly. Okay? Now, that's where the stubbornness comes in handy, you know? I know so like my ex-wife, she was too easily swayed, you know, and talked into doing stuff. And sadly to say, you know, um, that landed her in prison for 9 years. And I raised my three kids on my own, see? And um, yeah, I wouldn't trade a day of it though. Um, I'm 44 years old. I'm a non-felon and done a total of maybe maybe 60 days in jail my whole entire life. So, if you want to measure a measuring stick, a man that makes it to be 44 years old and is a non-felon this day and age, he must be doing something right. Now, whether you agree with me or not, that's the way I see it. And never going to change my mind because, you know, my stubbornness got me to that point. So anyway, control. Um, there's always been, you know, the two types of people that, the rulers and the slaves. Back in the day, it wasn't citizens. There wasn't citizens. It was you was a slave or you was a royal, and that's never changed. And except for the terms, you know, today you're called a civilian and instead of a slave, even though you are in fact a slave. Plain and simple. I mean, I go read, do some research on the stuff, and you will find that you're a slave, and things haven't changed except for technology, and the years going by, and it makes me think, what what is so precious and important to the elites that, I mean, think about how much energy is expended on keeping the truth from us. I mean, all the control mechanisms set in place, um, the the mis and disinformation to try to get your mind, the mind conditioning through the education system, you know, uh, just so many different forms of control. But why set it up this way when wouldn't it be so much easier if they would just come out and say, Rumpelstiltskin really is real, and we keep him in the back room back there spinning gold at all times, and get it out there. Sure, there's going to be a lot of people who say, hey, um, it's immoral to keep something held prisoner and make him spin straw into gold all the time. But then you're going to have others that say, my God, that's ingenious. How do I get one of those? See? Now that comes down to your morals. Morally, if you're morally able to put a metaphorically person, into a room and enslave him to make gold for you, then A, you didn't have anybody growing up put any kind of moral into you whatsoever. B, you was groomed that way on purpose, which is effed up. And three, I would say, I don't know. I'm just kind of going with this here. But I think about it. What could it be? What could it be that they go through all this. I mean, from the chemtrails in the sky, you know, high, uh, there's got to be something that's of substance and is so important that it would, in fact, disclosure of it would undo all that they have accomplished in, you know, dividing us, keeping us divided, you know. Um, I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest things that they uh, try to get done, and that's keeping us divided, you know. Um, First on, you know, country, you know, different countries. If you're from the UK and I'm from America, well, there's indifference there. There's automatically we're different. We're different. Then you know, you're from China or any other country. If you hail from a different country, then that there in itself is a stair step of division. Then within that, you know, the languages we speak, they're all different. So therein lies another indifference to keep us divided. Um, and maybe that thing, maybe the thing that they exhaust so much energy on is something that is so precious that if it was disclosed, then all the division would just melt away because that not knowing what it was isn't there anymore, and we just melt away into unity. But um, well, remember the fact that the elites want to control you without you knowing it, and they do. They really do. Um, um, Wars after wars after wars. Uh, I'll refer you to check out the movie 300 and the scene in that movie where Leonidas, the king of Sparta, has that uh, short meeting with Xerxes, the so-called king god. Um, there's a few things you can notice in uh, that particular scene. First thing you notice is that on the Persian side, Xerxes' side, there's a bunch of slaves carrying his whatever you want to call it. And second thing you notice is he's a giant. He's really big. And the scene plays out, and when Leonidas tells him he'd have a hard time kneeling because of the cramp in his thigh, um, well, this makes Xerxes really mad, and he starts this rant about um, he'll have the no one will ever remember Leonidas because after he takes over Greece and Sparta, he'll have every tongue and, pulled from every scribe's tongue would be pulled out. Everybody who has anything to do with Sparta at that particular time will be killed. And in a nutshell, basically tells him that he'd erase um, Leonidas, and the world would never know he existed at all. Now, that form of control there is when you have the power to erase something so important from existence. What's that make you think? I mean, if the winner of a war can erase whatever it wants, the fact that the way things are the way they are now don't don't matter, because there's somebody out there that can you know erase it like you never existed, like it never happened. And that's kind of scary a little bit. Wondering if uh, this life we live. I don't know. I know I'm rambling, but anyway, this whole thing was about fear. I wanted to start fear, death, and we fear death. I don't fear death, but people fear death, and that is control, because it's a byproduct of fear. Anything that's a byproduct of fear has to be a form of control. And everything about this life, man, everything that I've looked at, everything that I've researched, every single drop. Why is control so damn important? Why should I care? Why should I care what so-and-so's doing over across the street? Why should I want to care so much about what somebody else is doing that I would come up with a scheme to control them? I mean, pardon my language, but I just gotta say, fuck that. It's bullshit. I mean, I know anarchy and all that, you'll get that from lawless civilizations and whatnot, but how do you know that there hasn't never been a civilization that was was informally socially controlled, where the people of that civilization were so good and kind at heart that they didn't need anything enforced or forced on them? There could have been, but as always, kindness usually gets wiped out because, you know, evil, yeah, not so much evil, but uh, it wouldn't stand a chance against a tyrant that's going to come in and just kill everybody off and erase that civilization altogether. Not even put them in a book. I wonder how many civilizations were out there that we'll never know nothing about because any parchments on them or anything and everything about that civilization was just erased by the tyrant that won. I mean, think about it. There's got to be, and be quite frank. Um, I think that if it wasn't for tyrants wanting to control, that a society like that would thrive. You know, living by the rule. You know, treat I'm going to treat that other person like I want to be treated. You know, and live by a moral code. And I really do. I think that kind of society would work out just fine as long as it wasn't. Probably can't work here because there's always somebody who's got a bomb or something's going to say, you know, do what I. There's the formal control. So yeah, but when you take away, when you shed your fear of everything, like me, I don't. I I'm beyond. I'm beyond this realm we're in now. I'm beyond it. Um, I don't know what awaits me on the other side, and I sure as hell don't know if there's going to be, some kind of suppression on that. I hope not. I mean, for crying out loud, you think you would have paid your dues here on that coin, but if you shed your fear, then technically you can no longer be controlled. See? Because if you're not afraid, then that they don't have that particular button to push to make you do what you don't want to do. So, I think the road to enlightenment starts with the shedding of any fear you have, whether it be, you know, fear of fear of anything, whatever fear you may have, but mainly the fear of death, because that's I think the oldest one in the book. Fear fear of the unknown after death. But again, you're not really dying. Your body's dying. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I don't. I don't. It's that stubbornness again, because I can't say for sure. That anything. All I know is in my mind's eye that I don't fear death because I believe that I'm forever. The essence that is me. And I think that hurdle right there gets is a big jump, and takes you to the other steps. And me even talking about like elites and whatnot, well, I mean, it takes courage, because you never know what's going to happen to me. I might say the wrong thing, and I just don't care. People need to start knowing the truth about things. And if it ain't the truth, then the non-truth that the misinformation put out is the truth. One way or the other. But fear, you have to get rid of it. You have to take that fear and get rid of it. If not, you'll be in fear the rest of your life, your whole life. And The truth, they say the truth will set you free. Well, I don't know if the truth is actually the truth. So I'm going to say the shedding of your fear will set you free. Okay? Um, I don't know. I kind of went off on somewhere I wasn't planning on, but um, the thing about it is that um, there is a reason. There's a tangible something that the elites are hiding, spending so much energy on for us not to know. And the fact, if we were to ever know, the thought that the thought that the elites thought that if we find out scares the living bejesus out of them. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, if we were to find out what that is, that thing is, the elites they would be, it would flip. They would have the fear. Yeah. But who knows? Um, so take out of this video. I want you to take baby steps, maybe. Try to look at ways that you can shed your fear, and little by little, you'll gain courage. Where you lose that fear, shed that fear, there'll be a little bit of courage take its place, and then the next thing you keep doing that. Next thing you know, you are a strong-willed, strong-minded individual that is not going to just comply voluntarily like they want you to. You're going to, if they're going to take you away, you're going to go away kicking and screaming, putting up a fight. And that's what we need these days. We need strong-minded, strong-willed individuals to start speaking out, and it's the only way we're going to accomplish anything. I'm always asking myself, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm up with I'm doing it right now. I'm talking to you about some ideas that I think you could take. Um, yep. Starts with asking questions, and then next thing you know, you ask the right question, you'll be just like any other individual that's awake or become awake, and you're going to find yourself going down the rabbit hole. And yeah, it's I'm sorry, it's a trip you have to take, and you can't wake up unless you take it. You know, it's just the way it is. But yeah, there would be no control without fear. So, food for thought, and shed that fear. Work on it. Peace out, y'all.